Marksman Capital presents.
As a savvy investor, we always want to invest in secular growth trends. And which are the companies that are in secular growth trends? Now, when we talk about companies like Facebook, Google, and Amazon, they are in secular growth trends. So now, what is even a secular growth trend? You might have even come across to some of the savvy investors have been talking about this. Secular growth trends are trends that will last between 20 and 30 years. And just like Microsoft within the PC era, they have actually created the operating systems, and it has made a lot of people's life easier. And it is also a high household item. So even in the it was actually started in the 1980s, and think about that now. So it has lasted up to even now, 2020, and it's still the brand monopoly, the dominant player, which has more than 70% of the market share in operating system, and they're still going strong. Microsoft is still trending upwards up to today, and they are one of the best example of secular growth trend. So now, welcome to this part here when we talk about what is interesting about Amazon. And this is part one. There will be two parts because this is quite a huge topic in e-commerce. Okay, so now let's move on. So here's a disclaimer. You can pause the video and read it. All right, let's move on. Now, here are the three key driving factors that you should know about global retail e-commerce sales. It will continue to soar. And when we look at the numbers right here, up to year 2023, globally, it will be around 6.5 trillion US dollar. All right, and this is actually around the world. So this is quite huge, I would say. And this is including not just Amazon, many other companies like Alibaba or even Shopify and DoorDash, many other companies all together, all right, that growing, this e-commerce is growing like nobody's business. So this is a good example that to show us that the growth doubles every 5 years. And this is, we are talking about 15% annual growth rate. All right. So of course, Amazon is a lot more than that. And also the second key driving factor will be social media activities increasingly influencing e-commerce retail behavior. So what are the two main ones that actually influence the retail behavior? And most people, when they want to buy something, they often read other users' comments. And if the review is good, then they will buy it. So that's the key decision-making factor. And secondly, it is because of viewing ads. Now, companies like Facebook and Google, they are the companies that are mainly or predominantly driving ads. So many users, they when they find the ads in Google platform or in Facebook, then they will go on to the e-commerce platform to purchase the items. So now number three, not many of you might be familiar with smart speaker, and this is mainly in United States. And when we call this smart speaker, there's a use for e-commerce online purchasing, and this is where it's connected. This device on your right hand side here, it's actually a virtual assistant that recognizes your voice and it responds to your question. So, and this can be connected to your home, your Wi-Fi, and it talks to your other devices. So it's what you call is that it has an artificial intelligence also engine inside that recognizes all the sentences and your gestures also as well. I mean, sorry, your voices too. I mean, to help you even search items and purchase online through this virtual assistant. All right, so let's move on. And mobile shopping share of e-commerce has also been rising. So this is a statistic that's shown between 2016 and 2021. From 52%, it has risen to 73%. And some they call it m-commerce because mobile e-commerce, in short, we call it m-commerce. Definitely is called mobile commerce. It's even a thing right now. And of course, we find that it is more convenient to shop in using our mobile phones that our payment and purchases like e-wallets or even banking through our phones are becoming more convenient. And this is because it's driven by the fintech. It's also another secular growth trend industry that is also boosting. It is also boosting hand in hand with e-commerce, and e-commerce is boosting fintech. So they are hand in hand. So you'll find that your mobile phone is more of a becoming your digital wallet. You don't even need, maybe in future, you don't even need to carry your wallet with lots of cash inside. You just need to carry your phone as your wallet. All right. So of course, the mobile access encourage more users to purchase items online, and more businesses are hopping onto online retail platforms, driven by pandemic situation. Of course, not just that, not just Amazon is driven by pandemic. Of course, I mean the sales are actually driven higher by pandemic. All right, and when you look at companies like Facebook and Google, the sales, because of more people moving to digital marketing, because they are not going to have more presence in physical store, so more people are bringing their business online, and that actually helped Google and Facebook to boost their business, just like Amazon right here. So now let's move on and let's dig deeper into Amazon's growth trends. And now let's move on and let's dig deeper into Amazon's growth trends. And here, this is what we can see in Amazon. Within 10 years, it has been growing about 10 times. What you can see here, it's about from a 48 billion. All right, this is really starting from the figures of billions in 2011. And today, when you look at the tracking 12 months, it's about 400, a whopping 443 billion. And in the year that has ended 2020, it has actually it has actually registered about 386 billion. And if you look at the jump on the between 2019 and 2020, it has a monster growth of about 38%, and it grew by at least 100 billion jump on that just in the year 2020. So that's a huge jump on the growth. And as you can see, if we convert those net income and cash flow in percentage, it has been actually the what's quite interesting here. The net income on 2017 has actually grew about triple times. All right, three times by the year 2020, and tracking 2 months, it has shown also growth about 7% now compared to last year. It has increased also as well, and this has been very consistent over these past 10 years up to now. So now this is the kind of companies that we would like to invest because it's very consistent. And if companies don't show this kind of consistent trends, I wouldn't even bother to look at other parts of the fundamentals, because this is where that it will lead to the several other steps that we would qualify a business to be great business. All right, we want to keep our money invested in this kind of business. All right, so now let's move on and let's say, and if we compare year to year, we want to see what is the revenues growth like. And here, remarkably, that you can see Amazon is 20% and above. Of course, 2020 has been a very significant year for Amazon, about 38%. And what we saw on the projection just now, projections of e-commerce trends, is about 15% annually, right? And doubles every 5 years. And Amazon is outperforming that projection, all right? So that's great. And if we look at Amazon's revenue streams by business segment, so they are divided into 6 segments. The main segment of online retail business would be this blue color segment. Retail products online stores are 51%, and retail third-party seller services are 21%. So both of them added together, they are around 72%. All right, so this is the main, these two are the main revenue streams of Amazon. And if you look at okay, and the cloud services, Amazon cloud services are actually growing quite rapidly. What we want to do is to break those down in the next slide. So let's look at the next slide. And if we just look at retail products online, it grows about 40% comparing year 2019 and 2020. And retail third-party seller services has grown about 50%. All right, so on the latest year comparison. So, and if you look at cloud services, it's also growing quite consistently. And in the beginning, it was also very, in 2014, it's also growing quite rapidly in the beginning of the years. And it is also known one of the biggest cloud services, all right, in US. And you can see from 2014 to 2020, right around 7 years here, it has actually increased about 10 times from 4.6 billion, right, US dollar revenues to around 45 billion in the cloud space or cloud services revenues. So now that's interesting. Okay, now let's go on with the retail subscription services. Now, what are these? So, retail subscription services are when you actually want to sell something in Amazon, you would actually have to subscribe as a business seller, as a long-term, as a long-term seller, right? You need to subscribe, and you can enjoy some of the benefits that they can offer. All right. So also they have movie streaming and they sell music online. You can subscribe to those services also as well. So the only thing that goes down right here is the physical stores that because last year was a lot. Because of pandemic, physical stores around the world would suffer some losses, but Amazon has suffered a very little loss here, which is only -6% growth right here. Okay, so now let's look at Amazon where they're selling around across the world. Around the world, you can see they are actually selling about 68% of their sales come from US. And second, you have Germany, 8%, United Kingdom, 7%, and Japan is 5%. So the rest of the world will be 12%. Okay, then let's break this down a little bit more. In the United States and Germany, they're almost the growth is almost close to one another. But the biggest growth is actually in United Kingdom. There's a huge jump of revenues coming from United Kingdom, UK, and you have Japan might be the least right here because Japan has its own maybe Rakuten or its own e-commerce platform. Now, of course, many people has recognized e-commerce. It's a secular growth trend, and a lot of countries they're starting up their own apps. And fortunately, Amazon still dominates US, which is less affected. So we'll go across. We'll go and look at what other countries are also doing, and who are the competitors, right? Let's call them competitors, even though they don't actually necessarily compete in the same territory. All right. So now, before that, let's go into future growth, and these are the projections for forward guidance, and it's pretty healthy. I would say the revenues within 3 years is projected to grow about 48%, net income about 67% within 3 years, and the best part is the cash flow it's projected to grow about 99% within 3 years. All right. So then the earnings per share growth is about 57% within 3 years. So all of them double digit within 3 years. Pretty solid. Okay, now this is interesting. The interesting part when we look at competitive advantage of Amazon, the best part is that when we look at the past 5 years, they don't dwarf the industry a lot, right? Which they are only around 48%, and the industry is about 32% in earnings growth. All right. Now the past 1 year, the industry has been enjoying a lot of growth. If you compare that to the past 5 years, it has been doubled, right? Boosted by the pandemic. And Amazon themselves, actually, it was boosted about 123% on the past 1 year earnings. So that's a lot. And you compare that with other competitors, most of them are actually here, right? So it dwarfs the rest of the earnings. And some are not even profitable yet. Yes, they do have huge revenue growth, exponentially growing, but they do not have the same profit margin growth as Amazon. Okay, so now let's look at the heat map. And of course, I place, although some of them are in different territory, we just want to place some of the some of these companies in the heat map and see where Amazon is. And of course, when you look at Amazon in terms of market cap, it is the most invested e-commerce in the industry. So e-commerce company, and it's about 1.7 trillion US dollar invested into Amazon. The next, I would say Alibaba. Okay, although Amazon and Alibaba, they don't compete in the same territory because Alibaba dominates space in China and Southeast Asia. And Southeast Asia, you also have Sea Limited, which comes in fourth uh, in terms of market capital right here. Okay, so now when we look at Amazon right here, it has like the biggest circle, right? So which means the market cap is the biggest and the most invested. But of course, in terms of revenue, when we talk about Walmart, Walmart is more of a physical store, and in terms of net profit margin, it's only 1.8, and it's not growing very rapidly, I would say. And more people are moving to e-commerce, and maybe you have groceries to buy, then you only go to Walmart. Other than that, more physical items, you tend to buy that online. And Walmart is also invested in places. I mean, in e-commerce platform, they're starting their own one. They also bought 77% shares in Flipkart, which is in India, and India it has more than 1 billion population, so that's a big move of Walmart. And Flipkart is still a private company at this stage, right? So lots of growth will be coming from there. That's for Walmart. But like Amazon and Walmart, they have Amazon comes from online store, and they start to move a little bit of investment in physical store. Walmart predominantly physical stores, and they start to invest in online stores. So both of them, like they're trying to move into one another space. All right. So now, if we look at the entire map, you can see that Shopify has the highest profit. At the top left hand side, the highest profit 64%. And this is because if we look at Shopify, and recently for the past 1 year, the net income has boosted about 82%. All right, and you can see the revenues is like sharply moving upwards exponentially, and that's a typical e-commerce revenues characters that you could see. All right, so this is for Shopify, so it's quite unique or extraordinary compared to the rest. So wouldn't go too deep into Shopify. It's a customizable website for you to sell the items online. Needs a little bit of skills there. Or yeah, you need to have some skills on designing your website. Unlike Amazon, just post your items there, then you could actually sell, right? It's quite different. So okay, now let's look closer in the rest of the competitions here. Now you might have heard of eBay a long time ago. They are commanding about 35% profit margin. But does that mean they are better than Amazon? No. And you compare the rest, like there's too much to name here. Mercado Libre, okay, that's for Latin America. And you have Sea Limited in Southeast Asia, Coupang, that's in South Korea. Then you have Alibaba, JD.com, Pinduoduo, and there's also one more, Meituan Dianping, Super Apps. So those are in the e-commerce space, because in China you have already four major players. Of course, JD.com and Alibaba is always the most common ones, right? Flipkart still privatized. I mean, sorry, it's still a private company, right? So I just put them here for us to compare. And if you compare eBay, Amazon, and Alibaba, you could see that eBay is not consistent in revenues, although the net margin is higher than Amazon. And if you look closer into Amazon and you take away the revenues, because it's dwarfing the, I mean, the cash flow and the net income growth, right? So you can see right here, the net income, if you remove the revenues growth, which is dwarfing this, right? Compressing these numbers, the graph here, sorry, the graph, and you can see it's very consistently growing, the net income and the cash flow, and it's in the number of billions, and cash flow is about 60 billion right now, with the net margin is about 29 billion, right? 30 billion and 60 billion. Cash flow is like double. Now, this is where we really want to put our money in, consistency, right? Because the next thing, I mean, we are not really predicting where the business will go. And more likely, when you see trends like this, I mean, the uptrend, when we see trends that are exponential, all right, and most likely the year after will continue. That is most likely, and it's because it has some certain moat, economic moat that is inside, protecting its future growth. Right? So it has a lot of factor, maybe because the platform is more user friendly, and it has more network than the rest. That's why it's sustaining the growth quite well right here. Of course, we'll go into that about the network effect on the later part. That's one of the key driving factors as well. So now, okay, now let's move back to the big picture right here. So you can see all that once again, and hopefully this helps you to give you a better picture on how all these players positioned together if you look at the map. Now, all right, so now if we talk about competitive edge, and the first thing that comes into my mind is when you look at companies like Google and Facebook, Amazon and Alibaba, they do have these characteristics, and they're actually benefiting from network effect. So it means that when you have more users in the network, and the network becomes more valuable for business seller to sell, and we have more business people who wants to do business online, then you also attract more users. So what are the dynamics that's actually running behind the curtains right here? Now, if you have 3 users, then you would see a potential of a two-way communications, about 6 potentials right here. So you have like okay, you have a tree. Now I'll just explain this again because I've explained that when I was publishing the video of Facebook. So 1, 2, and 3 users right here, and you have a network. So one user can access into can actually reach out to two, right? Two other users right here. So when you have 3 users, that equates to 3 times 2, and you get 6 potentials right here. Then when you have 4 users, and each users, let's say each users can reach out to 3. All right, so that means 4 users times 3, you get your maximum potential is 12. All right, so they are connecting to each other, and they can do business with each other. All right, and here same as well. You have 5 users, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what this translates to how it translates to the maximum potential of 20. You can see every time there's a user added, the potentials goes up quite significantly. All right, so you have 5 users, and each user, let's say user number 1, can reach out to 4 other users. All right, so you have 5 users which can reach out to 4 other users, which is 5 times 4. So you get 20 right here. All right, so this is the maths behind the network effect. And this is also interesting. If you look at, okay, now from 5 to 6, all right, apologize, my apology here, my logo is blocking some of these numbers, but of course I'll explain it to you. So you have 6 users right here. All right, these 6 users. Now I'll break it down. So one user, now I'm going to ask you this question. One user, how many other users that it can reach out? So you have 6, right? So one user can reach out to the next 5 users right here. Okay, of course, when you have this, so you have 6 users reaching out to 5 other users, which is 30 potentials right here, connecting potentials or communication potentials. So another thing to be very fast here, when you have 8 users, right? 8 users, you can connect to the rest of the 7 users times 7, and you straight away you get 56. And by now, I don't even have to go up to here. At this length, you would actually understand the concept of the power of network effect. And this reflects in Amazon's revenues growth, and you can see that in Facebook, Google as well. So this is like a graph backing up the numbers that I show you. It's actually an exponential growth, and Amazon has proven that it has grown 10 times over in just within 10 years. Pretty awesome. Now think about it. So this is another analogy that I would like to put that in. It's a self-reinforcing cycle. The more people use the platform, the more valuable it becomes, and the more people starts to join in and do their business online in Amazon. So just like the shopping malls last time, where we do not have online shopping, and this is like 1 or 2 decades before that. The more people shop there, the more sellers want to be there because they know the traffic of people, public is a lot. So when the more sellers go there and they try to sell something, each one will have their own variety, and you have more choices for the people to shop, and the more choices will attract more people to come. So it becomes this is very straightforward. It becomes a self-reinforcing cycle, and you see that in very successful shopping mall. Yes, just before the pandemic situation. But if the pandemic situation goes off, then you start to see that again in some of the shopping mall. But that doesn't mean e-commerce will ramp down. It will still continue. All right. So, okay, now that's the end of part one. I want to say thank you for your time. Happy trading and investing. Striker X here, signing out. We're starting a new group for serious traders only. There'll be call-outs on open and closed trades. No discussions about markets or politics. No Facebook, Twitter reposts. So that you get notified trades only. There will be greater support and more personalized education. Subscription is US dollar $19.95 per month. So if you're interested, please DM me and we will add you on the waiting list. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe and like button, and also notification button if you like to get more of these videos. And we also have a Facebook group where we call Global Financial Markets Trading, and we will provide the link below in the description column.